Welcome to Shatter.
You won't leave. You never do. That's what she told her friend. I was in the hallway, close enough to hear, too far to be seen. They both laughed. That soft, condescending kind of laugh. And that's when I knew it. She had no idea who I really was. Later, she walked past me like nothing happened, poured herself wine, dropped her heels by the door like they were someone else's problem. No apology. No glance. Just this quiet confidence that no matter how far she pushed, I'd keep orbiting, like I always did. But this time, something clicked. Not anger. Not jealousy. Clarity. I kissed her forehead that night, made her coffee, folded the blanket on the couch, did all the things that made her believe she still held the upper hand. She thought my silence was weakness. She didn't know it was a war plan. I wasn't quiet because I didn't feel anything. I was quiet because I finally did. I started making lists in my head. Not dramatic ones. Just steps. One bag. One account to transfer. One password to change. One location to turn off. And one goodbye. That wouldn't be spoken. She asked me what I wanted for dinner. I said, whatever you feel like. She smiled, thinking I was still in the game. Still playing the same role I'd always played. Quiet, reliable, predictable. But I wasn't playing anymore. I was preparing my final scene. And there wouldn't be an audience. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I was free for the first time in years. Free from the script. Free from the weight of trying to make someone love you correctly. I lay next to her in bed, watched her scroll on her phone. Same posture. Same routine. She didn't notice how still I'd gone. That's what happens. When someone gets used to you being too available, they stop noticing the moment you begin to disappear. Tomorrow morning, she'd still expect me to be there. To make the coffee. To fill the silence with apologies she thought she deserved. But she'd be waking up to something else. Nothing. No message. No explanation. No drama. Just absence. Permanent and surgical. She thought silence was surrender. She didn't see the exit coming. She always said I was too quiet. That I never fought back. That I shut down instead of talking it through. What she never understood was I wasn't shutting down. I was shutting off. That night, after she fell asleep, I got up without a sound, packed one bag, took only what was mine, left the rest. The memories, the furniture, the weight of pretending. I turned off location sharing, turned off the shared calendar, wiped the last message I ever sent. No goodbye. No, we need to talk. No note. Because nothing says you're done. Like walking out while they're still sleeping. She woke up to silence. No footsteps in the kitchen. No coffee on the counter. No hum of the shower. Just cold sheets. And the kind of stillness that tells you something's been removed. Something permanent. She called my name. Once. Then again. No answer. I imagine she checked the bathroom. Then the hallway. Then stood in the center of the living room, waiting for a door to open. But nothing opened. And no one came back. She found her phone. No message. No missed calls. Just her own reflection in the black screen. And that's when the silence got louder. Because when someone's always been there, when they've swallowed their hurt for years, you never expect them to vanish. Until they do. By noon, she started texting. Where are you? Are you okay? This isn't funny. But I wasn't laughing. I was finally breathing. I went for a walk that morning. No direction. No rush. Just me. In the space she used to occupy. And it felt like peace. Not relief. Not victory. Just the stillness that arrives after the fire finally burns out. She called that night. I didn't answer. Not because I was punishing her. Because there was nothing left to say that hadn't already been said. In 1,000 ignored efforts on my part, she thought silence was weakness. She didn't realize it was the end of access. She expected drama. I gave her nothing. And that broke her more than any fight ever could. The second day passed in silence. No response. No return calls. No sudden knock on her door to say, let's fix this. She told herself I just needed time. That I was probably at a friend's place, clearing my head. That I'd come back, like I always did. But she was wrong. Because I didn't leave to be chased. I left because I finally stopped chasing. By day 3, she started asking around. Subtle at first. Mutual friends, casual check-ins. Have you heard from him? He left kind of suddenly. I'm sure it's nothing. But her voice was already shaking. Not from fear. From unfamiliarity. Because for the first time, she wasn't in control. She sent another message that night. Said she'd made dinner. Said my favorite wine was still unopened. As if nostalgia was enough to reverse everything. But I wasn't hungry. I'd fed that relationship long past its expiration date. Swallowed pride. Digested silence. Starved on affection she rationed like punishment. And now? Now I was full on clarity. I didn't sleep in a friend's guest room. I booked a place under a name she wouldn't recognize. Somewhere clean. Quiet. No history in the walls. No ghosts in the bed. And I slept better than I had in years. Not because I didn't care. Because I wasn't pretending anymore. She tried calling from another number. This time, I didn't even let it ring. Because there's a point where someone stops being a person in your life and becomes a pattern you finally broke. She had been that pattern. Push, pull, warm, cold, always expecting that I'd recalibrate to her moods. But I was done being her mirror, done reflecting what she refused to see. I went for a walk that morning. Sun low. City just waking up. And for the first time, my steps didn't feel heavy. I wasn't dragging guilt. I wasn't replaying old conversations in my head. I was moving forward, not from her, but from the version of me that tolerated being kept like an option, while giving her the loyalty of a choice. She once told her friend, "He won't leave. He never does." She said it like it was a fact, like I was some fixed point in her universe. But she forgot. Even anchors cut their own ropes. When they realize the ship doesn't want to be saved, she thought I'd be back. I'd already been gone for months. She just hadn't noticed. She always confused noise with proof. Raised voices meant passion. Tears meant love. Arguments meant someone still cared enough to fight. But I didn't argue this time. I didn't cry. I didn't explain. Because some endings don't require a conversation. Just a door that quietly closes. She tried one last angle. Said she wanted to talk like adults. Said we owed each other that much. But what she never understood was you don't owe closure to someone who opened the exit for you. I took nothing from her when I left. I didn't take revenge. Didn't take parting shots. Didn't take the satisfaction of knowing she was breaking down in my absence. I left her with one thing. Silence. And it was louder than anything I could have shouted. People like her expect noise. They feed off it. They expect emotion to explode. For the door to slam. For the messages to overflow with anger and regret. But I didn't give her any of that. Because she didn't deserve my rage. She deserved my absence. Permanent. Surgical. Unapologetic. One of her friends reached out a few days later. Said she hadn't been herself. That she kept checking her phone like it owed her something. I didn't reply. Because when you finally leave a place where you were never truly seen, you don't send postcards back. She posted a photo. Black and white. Captioned, "Growth hurts. But silence hurts more." Dozens of likes. Supportive comments. All the right performance. But I saw through it. She wasn't healing. She was haunted. By the version of me she thought would stay. The one who made her coffee when she rolled her eyes. The one who forgave, forgot, and folded. That man was gone. And in his place stood someone she no longer had access to. She told herself I was being dramatic. That I'd cool down. That I'd remember the good times. But I didn't forget the good. I just finally realized how little they weighed. Against everything I swallowed to keep us alive. And once I stopped swallowing it, I started breathing. And I had no interest in going back to suffocation. She expected a reaction. Expected a knock on the door. Expected a message in the middle of the night saying, "Let's fix this." What she got was the terrifying realization that nothing was coming. Not a fight. Not a plea. Not even a goodbye. Just silence. The kind that only follows when someone's finally at peace. She tried to reach me through noise. Through text messages that got longer. Through photos from places we once visited. Through playlists she thought would spark something in me again. But what she didn't understand was I wasn't in the places she left me. She kept searching for me in the wreckage, hoping to find something untouched, something salvageable. But I had already walked out of that burning house. And I wasn't coming back. Just because she finally noticed the smoke. She sent one last voice note. Her voice was slower now. No confidence. Just wait. She said she never meant to lose me. Said she thought I'd always be there. Said she was wrong. I didn't play it a second time. Didn't save it. Didn't even let the app show it as read. Because some confessions come after the trial has ended, and I was no longer in court. My phone stayed quiet for days after that. No rings. No pings. No alerts. And in that stillness, I started to hear myself again. I'd forgotten what that sounded like. Me. Not adjusting. Not filtering. Not shrinking to make space for her moods. Just existing. Uninterrupted. I started waking up early. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. I'd open the window, let in the morning air, and breathe like the house wasn't missing anything. Because it wasn't. Not anymore. I didn't tell anyone I was okay. Didn't post about healing. Didn't try to win the breakup narrative. I just disappeared from her storyline and became the main character in my own. She, on the other hand, was still writing paragraphs to ghosts, hoping that if she strung the right words together, they might build a bridge back to something real. But some bridges aren't burned. They're just gone. She looked for me in the chaos, but I wasn't there. I was somewhere quiet, where her voice couldn't reach anymore. I didn't leave to hurt her. I left because staying was hurting me. Every version of myself that lived in that house had been shaped to survive her. Quiet when she flared up. Soft when she withdrew. Strong when she needed it. Invisible when she didn't. But survival is not love. And I wasn't built to be used for contrast. Against the chaos she mistook for passion. She thought I'd come back when the silence got too loud. When loneliness started knocking. When the bed felt too big. But the truth was I'd been alone for a long time. Even when she was beside me. The only difference now was that I'd finally chosen to stop mistaking proximity for presence. I started building again, but not the life we used to talk about. Mine. New routines. New plans. No shared calendars. No, what do you feel like eating tonight? Silence at dinner. Just purpose. Deliberate, quiet, and mine. I picked up reading again. Something I hadn't done in years. She used to roll her eyes at how long I'd sit with a book. Said I checked out when I read. Maybe I did. Maybe I was already looking for a different world. Before I had the courage to leave the one she kept rewriting. Friends started to notice. Said I looked lighter. More focused. I didn't explain it. Because how do you explain the weight that leaves? When someone who constantly needed proof of your love finally stops asking? I found a rhythm. Woke up. Trained. Built. Ate well. Slept deep. Not because I was trying to impress anyone. Not because I wanted to be seen. But because I was remembering what it felt like to live without bending. And every day I didn't hear from her was another day I realized I didn't miss her. I missed peace. And peace was finally mine. She thought she was the lesson, the heartbreak, the great undoing. But she wasn't. She was the reason I stopped living in reverse. The reason I stopped trying to explain my value to someone who only listened. After I left, she didn't say it out loud. But everything she did after I left screamed the same thing. Miss me. The subtle posts. The captions dripping with self-reflection. The half-sincere quotes about growth, about learning to let go. But it wasn't about letting go. It was about making sure. I saw what she thought she'd become without me. What she didn't realize was I wasn't watching. Not to punish. Not to ignore. But because freedom means you don't need to track what you've released. She wanted me to feel her absence. To question. To regret. To wonder if maybe I'd made the wrong choice. But I didn't. Not once. Because the man she wanted to haunt no longer existed. I used to think love meant proving your value. Showing up more. Talking softer. Fighting harder. Now I know. Real love doesn't need to audition. It doesn't need to beg to be heard. Or prove it's still burning when someone calls it cold. She reached out once more. Through a friend. Said she just wanted to talk. No expectations. No pressure. But even that was a performance. Because people who truly want closure don't request your attention like it's a favor. They respect the silence and stay out of it. I didn't respond. Didn't ask what she wanted. Didn't ask how she was. Because when you've spent years asking, are we okay? Are you mad? Are you still in this? And the answer is always vague. Eventually you stop needing answers. You just walk away. And the lack of pursuit becomes your peace. She wanted to be missed. And maybe, once, she would have been. But you don't miss someone who only shows you love after they feel you slipping. That's not affection. That's control in disguise. I didn't want to win. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted freedom. And that's exactly what I chose. She waited longer than she thought she would. Weeks passed. No message. No knock. No soft return wrapped in apology. And one morning, she snapped. Tried one last time to reach me. This time, in person. A knock at the door. Too familiar. Too late. I didn't answer. Not out of pride. Not out of pettiness. But because some doors aren't locked from the outside. They're sealed shut from within. She left a note. Folded. Clean. Slid it under the door like it still mattered. Like it could still undo what she'd let rot for so long. I read it once. Carefully. It said she missed me. Said she was ready to talk. Said I meant more than she knew how to say back then. But it wasn't the wrong time when she said, "You won't leave. You never do." It was just the first time. She told the truth out loud. And believed it. She used to bet on my silence. Bet that I'd never walk. That I'd stay just one more round, one more fight, one more chance. She misunderstood the silence. It wasn't surrender. It was strategy. And now that it was complete, there was nothing left to explain. I didn't reply to the note. Didn't text her after. Didn't leave the door open, as they like to say. Because I had closed that door. Without slamming it. No theatrics. No noise. Just peace, bolted from the inside. People kept asking how I managed to stay so calm. How I walked away. Without making her pay for it. But the truth is, leaving without a scar is its own kind of justice. Because she doesn't get to carry guilt. She carries emptiness. She reached out one last time. A short message days later. "Do you think you'll ever come back?" I never answered. Because that version of me? He's not here anymore. And what she thought was a phase, a break, a temporary space, was really just the final step. In forgetting the sound of her name. She never said it directly. But everything she did after I left came from one place. Fear of being forgotten. The sudden vulnerability. The honest admissions. The memories she dug up and handed back to me like souvenirs I might still want. But I didn't want reminders. I wanted release. And that's something she couldn't offer. Because she never truly understood what she'd taken. She wanted to be remembered. To be the ex who left a mark. The one who changed me. And in a way, she did. Just not in the way she expected. She didn't ruin me. She woke me up. She showed me exactly what I would become. If I kept making excuses for emotional starvation. And calling it commitment. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want closure. I didn't want some cinematic reunion in a coffee shop where she cried and I forgave. I wanted something much smaller. Much quieter. To start over. Alone. On purpose. I began to travel. Not far. Not flashy. Just away. Away from rooms where I used to lower my voice. Away from routines that existed just to keep someone else comfortable. Each city, each morning, each unfamiliar street became a piece of me I never knew I was missing. I wasn't lost. I was being rewritten. She sent a final message weeks later. No question this time. No plea. Just a single sentence. "I hope you remember the good parts." And I did. I just didn't need to. Because healing doesn't require erasing someone. It requires removing their power. To keep repeating inside your mind. Like a skip track you never meant to play again. I didn't hate her. Hate takes energy. And I had none left to spend on the past. I wanted to wake up without the weight of what I tolerated. And I finally did. She wanted to be remembered. But I wasn't looking back. Not out of spite. Out of growth. Because I wasn't the man she left behind. I was the man who left the version of himself who needed her. And in doing that, I was finally free. She thought I was waiting. Waiting for her to change. To come around. To finally understand what she had. When it was gone. But I wasn't waiting for her. I was waiting to become myself. The version of me. That didn't flinch at silence. That didn't apologize for needing love with depth. That didn't negotiate his worth in the currency of someone else's comfort. The truth is, I'd been gone long before I packed that bag. Gone every time she rolled her eyes. Instead of reaching for my hand. Gone every time she turned conflict into performance. Gone when she told her friends. "He won't leave. He never does." She said it like a joke. But I was never laughing. Now, when I wake up, I don't check my phone for damage control. I don't rehearse words to make her feel safe. I don't skin her tone like a man walking on ice. I just breathe. And everything feels mine again. She was the storm. But I wasn't the wreckage she left behind. I was the man who built shelter in the silence. And never stepped back into the flood. I don't hate her. I don't miss her. And most importantly, I don't belong to her story anymore. Because while she told herself, I was still watching. Still wondering. Still waiting. I had already walked into a life that no longer made room for people who treat love like a test. You only study for once you're failing. Some people only understand respect after they've been replaced. But I didn't replace her. I removed her from my plans, from my peace, from the version of me who needed to be chosen. by someone who only valued him in pieces. She thought the silence was temporary. She thought I'd come back eventually. She thought I'd stay on the hook. Out of loyalty, out of history, out of habit. But the thing about quiet men is, they don't scream when they leave. They just never come back. So no, I wasn't waiting for her. I was waiting to look in the mirror and finally see someone who didn't need anyone's permission, to walk away and never explain why. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.